Hello, everybody. Welcome to the You're Too Valuable podcast. I'm Gregory, one of your hosts here for the You're Too Valuable podcast. I think I just said that like twice, all together in the same time. But I'm excited for today. But let's have the other hosts introduce themselves because they're almost as important as I am.
Oh, here we go.
Oh boy. Hey everybody, it's Jesse. How's your week going? I hope it's been good. I've been working lots, but excited to talk about a great topic today and get into it with my fellow co-hosts.
Get into it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that reminds me. Hey, Greg, how's your butt feeling from last week?
Yeah, don't even go there.
Ooh.
You know what? We are not having her on as a guest again because no, I did not like what she said, and
Listen, I didn't get a
think people
chance
got
to
way too
introduce
many laughs
myself,
out of
Greg. I just wanted to make sure your butt was okay and it wasn't hurt too bad.
Anyways, we're going to talk about something I want to now. Introduce yourself. Who are you
Greg's,
again?
it's
My
like
name
Greg's
is
in a
Robbie.
Yellow Castle.
And
Oh my
today
gosh.
we're talking about your total rewards, real measure of your worth, or is it corporate spin? What do
It's
you
not
guys think?
corporate spin. It is your total
Yeah,
worth.
that's
Come on now. I actually love this topic because a lot of people don't even know what total rewards is, and what I
It's
like
because
about
they
it.
don't get to sit in the White Castle, Greg.
Oh, okay. Again, we're gonna X
Hey.
at that. I'm gonna veto that. That's gone. You both are not allowed. Our guests, you are not ever allowed to use that again.
HR's got to have something to do while they work.
I know, right?
What do you mean we have some? Already
To work
starting
on
off
your
with the attacks today.
compensation benefits.
It's because Greg's invited some of his HR peers on the show, and they don't even respond to him. They don't want the smoke.
Wow, I don't even know how to answer that because that may or may not be true.
love it.
I probably should not have said that to them because that is actually very true. It's really sad.
They could bring on their glossy HR PDFs. We could talk about those. You know what I mean?
We're going to talk about total rewards, so let's talk about
To
it.
find the way to do an anonymous host.
Well, oh gosh, did you just think about having an anonymous host? That would be just so funny.
Do like the blurred out face. We could do it.
Yeah, but then don't do the woo 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 woo. You know,
Reporting
you
from
can-
HR with the deep voice.
If you can't see me, I was dodging around the camera. But no, Robbie, tell me, what is total rewards or your total compensation?
I mean, I understand what it is. I've kind of demonstrated and showed my employees to find out what their total compensation is. I do understand the premise behind it. It basically breaks down like your salary, contributions to retirement, contributions to health care, paid time off, yada, yada, yada. The reason that we're talking about whether it's corporate spin is because there are some companies that put some real bullshit. They just stuff some bullshit into that packet.
Unlimited
And-
PTO.
yeah, or
Okay,
delayed
Robbie,
bonuses
Robbie.
and
I asked you what total compensation or total rewards was, and you went off on a completely different tangent. Like,
because
I
I'm
want to
right,
know what it
Greg.
was. What is it?
What is it? It's a breakdown of everything that the company feels that you're getting paid. Some of it is hard cash. Some of it is some real bullshit. So here we
It
go.
is not. It is the money that the company pays you on your behalf or for having you as an employee. It's a lot of money, and this what people don't understand is that it's expensive to have an employee in today's world or any world at any time. It's expensive.
Yeah, it's
why you
more
get a- that's why you
expensive
get-
when they
that's why we get
quit
P-
because
P-
you treat them and then you have to hire another one.
That's why we get those fancy pizza parties.
Okay,
It's
so
expensive.
since Robbie won't answer it, let's ask Jesse. Jesse, what is total compensation or total rewards for you?
Well, It's a package that most companies would say it's your pay package. Your base salary or wages, any bonuses, commission, incentive pay. Maybe an employer is doing a 401k match your contribution to retirement. So if you put in so much, a lot of companies will match as well. Your medical benefits. So if they provide health, dental, vision insurance, so whatever the employer is paying, a lot of people don't know that, when you're presented with the price, usually that's subsidized. A lot of insurance companies require employers to subsidize the benefits. Your PTO, vacation, sick, parental leave. Any perks or benefits like tuition reimbursement, wellness plans. Some companies do like gym memberships. Any discounts on, let's say, pet insurance or wine club or different items that are out there. If they reimburse you for equipment, if you're a remote employee, some places do that.
I'm loving this.
And whatever else.
Because it's a
great
big
job.
tax write-off for the company at the end of the year so they can skirt taxes.
Okay, don't scream,
Yeah.
Robbie. We can hear you. But no, thank you. See, Robbie,
Oh,
this is exactly
Greg.
what I wanted
And then
you to say
whatever
something.
else the company feels they want to throw in there to make it more appealing to work for them. That's usually what the background is that's going on, is what can we put in our career page of our website to entice people to come work for us.
We're also going to talk about some of the hootenanny and shenanigans that companies have been pulling with these
Hootenanny.
Your Total War. Yeah, yes, sir.
Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back after the. No, okay. But thank you, Jesse. I really appreciate that. He hit that on the nose. If you didn't see it, I actually just tapped my nose like he hit it right on the nose. So,
boy.
thank you. Yeah, you're horrible sometimes. Thank you, Jesse, because all of those things are very, very much an important part of your total compensation, your total rewards, everything that you get from the company. The one thing that most people don't include onto that is your taxes. In order for you to be employed by an employer, there are taxes.
To be an employer, you have to pay taxes.
An employee,
and
you
most
have
of
to
the
pay
most of the
taxes.
time, big companies
Sorry,
find ways to skirt paying taxes.
Oh, okay. We're not going to go into that. That's too much. But anyways, as my friend was telling me over the weekend, what the FICA? And so I'm actually going to use that. I love that term. So,
What the FICA from the White Castle, ladies and gentlemen?
what the FICA? I love it. Okay, I'm going to use it.
And for those that
Whoever-
aren't getting it, can you please explain?
Oh, what FICA is? That is your federal income tax withholding. So that is the federal tax that you see. That's like probably It's around 18% of your check every time you get paid. So those are what you contribute, but then there's also the part that the employer contributes. So it's really interesting. I really like it. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this topic up, is because I wanted to see what, or if you all knew, what our listeners knew about it. Oh, I've been meaning to tell you, if you don't see on the podcast, if you don't watch the video, I got a haircut. And I know that was completely a squirrel moment, but I have to say, these two, when we first started, were laughing at me because they thought it looks like a hack job. And I don't have that much hair. But anyways, okay. So get back on track.
He's holding on to the
looks
dream.
great.
If you're not watching, he's holding on to the dream.
But Greg,
I
since
try.
you're so passionate about this subject, why don't you just give us some upsides?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So thank you, Jesse. I was actually getting there, and I really, really appreciate you reeling me back in because I can go off the handle sometimes. For us at HR, it gives you what your total. I'm trying not to use the word, but your total compensation, everything that the company pays for you, what they pay on your behalf. And a lot of people don't understand that you have your insurance premiums that you pay, but the company has a whole bunch. And as Jesse was saying a minute ago, it's a lot of subsidies that come up from that. And so there's a lot of upsides to that. That's a huge cost to an employer. And there are certain things that you can negotiate when it comes into a job offer with a lot of those things. One of them in particular, which I'm glad you called out, which was PTO, and having that PTO added in there because that is part of your salary. And I think I said this before when we were talking about PTO or sick time versus PTO, is that is part of your total compensation. So make sure you're taking that time off, and it also shows the money that goes in your pocket. I am looking at this video, and all I see is Robbie with this little smirk that's going on his face, and then like sly eyes. I don't. If you guys don't listen, or if you only listen to this podcast, please go look at his look on his face because it's priceless. But and it's good. It's good for you to know how much the money or how much the company pays for you.
Yeah.
Well,
I
on
will
that
say
note,
that
I mean,
right
you don't
now
even
I
know.
feel like I've
You don't even know like exactly how much because like most employees aren't looking at your financial statements. So for the companies that do actually like break it down and show you the cost, like I think it's more explainable than in that sense, but the actual dollar amount usually is never revealed to an employee.
And typically, neither is the life insurance policies that companies take out on their employees. We'll talk about that on another episode as well.
What? No, that doesn't. What? No. We're okay. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to have to put that up because no.
Yeah, that's
anyways,
100% accurate.
False. Very much false.
I'll bring the receipts. We'll make that next week's episode.
No, we're not going to make that next week's episode. We're going to talk about something else next week, and probably something more fun. But I have to tell you, what is your spin that you're taking on it, Robbie? What?
No, the face that I was making earlier, it was kind of reminiscent of one time, the first time I walked into a chicken coop, I wasn't expecting the smell of shit. And that is kind of what I'm experiencing at this very moment. That's where I'm at, just at the moment. So, listen, we can talk about it all we want to. People go to work. People go to work for one reason. They go to work to get paid, to pay their bills, which a lot of people in this country are struggling with. But you know what? They've got this nice fancy gym membership and this online video tutorial on how to do yoga. And, these are all parts that, some companies are including in these packages that are complete wastes of money. And ultimately, it's just a way to avoid paying people more. That's why good work is rewarded with pizza parties and not with a raise. This is corporate America, and the rest of the world looks at us like, what in the actual fuck? You pay for your health benefits, and you go to the doctor and still pay more? That's fantastic. Like we're so,
right.
And we tie our health benefits to our employer, so it makes it difficult to quit your job, especially for people that are taking care of a sick family member that is on that policy. So, at the end of the day, Greg, it's just a circle. It's like a full circle in the toilet bowl for me. It's there's so much that I have on the flip side of what this actually means. Do I think that some companies do the right thing? Yes. Do I think that a majority of companies do the right thing? Not even close.
Can we watch the language?
That's where I'm at. Hell no.
So, okay, what do you mean that some companies don't? How do you think that they manipulate this and and spin it in your words as you're trying to say that this is bull crap.
There's companies that they're a part of their negotiations have delayed bonuses or delayed payments, so they get guaranteed compensation if the employee works X amount. There's been times where employees have been let go right before that deadline was met, so the payout did not have to take place. We're supposed to talk. Morgan Stanley just paid $3 billion just recently for doing this very thing. So we can talk about it all day long. That's easily verifiable just by going to Google. Just so you know. With that being said, there's companies that are starting to put things like breaks during lunch and lunch hours as a part of these compensation packages, just to make fluff it up, make it look bigger than it really is. So that's the things that I'm talking about, Craig.
Well, I have seen, and this is going to surprise some of you, and I'm looking forward to seeing both Jesse and Robbie's look on their face. I have seen. I'm not saying that I've done it. I have seen where companies have, done layoffs in order to, forego paying out a bonus or, something like that, and it's really sad because it's almost like, as I said earlier, what the FICA, that should not work that way. And, I think that's very true.
It was notorious with pensions, but when before they were replaced by 401ks, tying the company's performance to your retirement, which if you do it the right way can be great, but if you don't do it the right way, could really 401ks could be very detrimental. So make sure that you understand what you're doing. If you don't, needless to say, that's a topic for another day. Jesse, what's your perspective?
The one thing I really wanted to point out was what you actually just covered just now, is your 401k and your company contributions and your matches. That's a whole topic that we can discuss at a later time, but that's something you should automatically do every paycheck. I know it's difficult to do if you can't afford it, but definitely do it. Because it's free money. It's actually extra money that you're throwing out the window if you don't get that matching contribution if your company offers that. And that's another really big thing because that's money you don't see right now. And Robbie was talking about, cash in your pocket to pay your bills. That's not money to pay your bills right now, but that could be for the money you pay your bills once you retire. And so, that's something you also have to look forward to and go through. And there are companies out there that do a matching 5%, 4%, 2%. It really just depends on what's going on there. But that's something that you also have to include inside of the money that you're getting. And that's everything that a company has to budget for when it comes to you. Now, I want to go and talk about some examples. Jesse, have you ever talked to, discussed in your management leadership roles what a total compensation or total rewards paper page looks like, and how did that go?
Yeah, no, we never really went over that. I mean, I've been in discussions where we picked, certain HRIS companies that we were going to provide, and they all have their own packages. I think that's also another way that companies get roped into things. They have someone from these representative companies that come and get a hold of people in HR, and they want to present this amazing benefit that they can add to their employees' total compensation, and they pull on their heartstrings, and then all of a sudden you're giving people discounts to pet insurance. And and they
prepaid legal services.
Hey, that's part of your EAP program, Robbie. EAP, you can get some. Anyways, continue on, Jesse. Sorry,
yeah, and then for they get that included, and it goes from there, and I think overall it's a great idea, and we as employees want to see our employer taking care of us, and that's how they are like, well, yeah, we'll put this in place, and they'll make them feel like we're really thinking about them, and we really got their back, and care about things in their personal life, and not just while they're at work. Um, and yes, some of the stuff is great, retirement matches and you know, health insurance and stuff like that being subsidized, but the other fluffy stuff is the stuff that I just don't agree with. It's extra noise to try and make the employer look like they're caring about the employee.
I'd like to, really take a moment here to encourage, not demand, but encourage leaders with frontline employees to take the time to show your people where these benefits are, where these statements are, how to take advantage of certain benefits. You can always have the fancy Teams meeting with the really slow talking HR representative, talking about all of the benefits where you're falling asleep watching a video screen. Or if you're doing a hands-on one-on-one, make it a part of your one-on-ones. Your month, your beginning of the month one-on-ones. When those statements come out, when it's time for open enrollment, take the time to sit down with your people, show them the benefits, show them the differences. If you don't know what those are, go talk to that slow-talking HR representative. They'll help you out from the White Castle.
Why are we a slow-talking HR representative? Why? What do you mean slow? Okay. Anyways, continue on. Y'all are a mess sometimes.
We love you, Greg.
No, you don't.
We just want an invite to the White Castle sometime for dinner.
I already said no more. Nope. Cut. That's it. So I want to kind of go off of what Jesse and Robbie both said. It's something that you can deliver and kind of explain, because that's something that HR should not have to explain to you. That's something that you should be able to go into your HRIS in order to find out what those are. And I'm going to try to post up some examples here to kind of show you exactly what I'm talking about of what a total reward statement shows. It tells you your base compensation. It tells you the breakdown of your different type of benefits that you get and everything like that. We'll see if I can get those and show that out there.
Yet another way for HR to push off their job. Like you just said, HR shouldn't have to explain this to you. You should be able to go in and look at it yourself.
We don't deal with the peasants down at the bottom of the mountain.
No, that is not true whatsoever. I think a manager should know a little bit more about some of these things than what they do.
PPOs, who knows what a PPO, you really have to understand like what medical benefits are. That's what I'm talking about. People just start clicking. They start clicking the least expensive option, and then they have a medical catastrophe happen, and then they go bankrupt. So you can really help your employees make the right decision by giving them some education, either where to find that information or by taking the time to learn it yourself and explain the differences. That's all I'm saying, Greg. Take care of your people. Because if you invest in your people invest in you. Wasn't that correct, Jesse?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that was the Marriott guy, right?
Yes. Marriott
Mr.
guy.
Marriott. And the thing is okay, this you're pushing a button here for me. Is we in HR, this is a big button for me because it's such a pet peeve. We in HR, we provide this information. Shush it. We provide this information to the workforce. I have been in companies where we will give you a calculator to kind of explain your best case scenario, your worst case scenario. So that way you know what you should be choosing. And this is part of the stuff that you should be looking at when you're talking about your benefits and when it talks about what you're going to get and what money you're not going to see and how much you're going to pay for it, because we don't want you to go bankrupt, and it's annoying because we give the tools, we have the tools out there for you. We give the information, the time. You would not believe how much time we give when it comes to these things. But it's also a manager's responsibility to explain this to their people. And Robbie, you were talking about, do it in your one-on-ones or do it with every. Have you done it before?
Yeah, 100%.
And how did that go for you?
Perfect. My employees appreciated it because they had no understanding of what that calculator was or where to find it. Or when they're an hourly employee, which this is going to be a topic in the very near future, the employees every minute is micromanaged under the thumb of leadership because time is productivity. So employees are told to make these decisions off the clock, which technically is kind of a gray area that we could have another discussion about. But at the end of the day, we can definitely taking the time to demonstrate what those it's once a year, Greg. So once a year for total compensation, once a year for open enrollment. Help me understand why taking an extra 15 minutes in a one-on-one won't, or actually taking another 20 minutes, dedicating your month, your beginning of the month, or having a meeting specifically talking where employees can have questions answered and not be on a Teams full of 50,000 people where the audio, the mute button, the microphone is completely grayed out, where they're not able to ask questions unless it's in a chat, and then HR gets to decide which peasants' questions actually stand up to the occasion.
Stop calling your team members and your employee peasants. They're team members and employees.
Come on, Greg. All right.
But okay, so my thing is it's not a one time a year thing. You have to understand that this stuff is paid all the time. Your salary is possible to change. You might get, other stocks. You might get, vesting. Your vesting schedule for your 401k might be different. It might not be there at all. It really just depends. And it's something that should be looked at least every quarter, because it is something that's of value to you to understand what you're getting and what you may not see on the back end, because it's a lot more than what you think it is.
Having a good leader is demonstrating why it's a good workplace to remain. And I think that taking the time to just, invest in your employees to make sure that they have a good understanding of what's available to them, what benefits they're receiving, how to take advantage of those benefits, not being told to go do it at home. This is on their personal time. And I don't care if you don't get open enrollment before time expires. These are things that you can really use to establish good working relationships with your people. I will continue to encourage this. Call me crazy. I do believe that Jesse will back me up on this one, though.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree. It's crazy how things are spun, and to spend some more time during especially onboarding process. That's what HR only wants to focus usually on this topic at enrollment time, and it's well, we've covered it because we have this handout that they can go and look through everything, and it's yeah, because you're going to look at the 10-page handout of all the different options that are confusing. I would sit next to my employee and show them with the handout as a tool, not just something to throw at them for them to try and decide for themselves, and sit with them at work on the clock to make their selections when they were onboarding.
Okay, so again, I don't know if you guys can tell if you're seeing on camera, my right eye is twitching because of how annoyed I am over here trying to say this.
You're getting extra pink today, too. So.
But the way that these two are going after your HR people and the way that they work and how much they actually work, and not in this stupid White Castle stuff that was explained on our last episode. I can't. Oh, that I'm going to
They
say
haven't
it,
even
that,
installed the marble counters yet. This is
That-
bull.
That pissed me off when she said that. And then she was like, "Oh, Gregory, I love you, but you're in your own little castle."
of the world.
Anyway,
Most people
so
in working environments believe that about HR. That's
No,
why your
it's
colleagues
not
won't
what
come
it
on the
says.
show
Okay,
and back
so-
you up.
So we in the HR world want to give our time to our team members, to our employees, in order to explain everything that's going on with them. And when we're not given that time, because there's only, depending on how many people, generally the ratio is 200 to 1. So for every 200 employees, sometimes they try to do 100, but 200 employees to every one HR rep is what we're there for. And that's the general role. Sometimes it's followed, sometimes it's not. We all know how that goes. And it's something that we have to be able to give our time to all of you in the best time that we can. And sometimes it's not always the best. Now, Jesse's saying that, going over your benefits, going over the total rewards, total compensation that you have is like a one-time thing for us to go through when you're on your onboarding. That's one of the only few times that we in HR actually have an opportunity to sit down and talk to you as an employee, as a team member, and that doesn't happen often. I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to have a 30-minute conversation, an hour conversation with one of my team members, but I can't because they're busy. And
The 40-hour work week is it's so outdated, but we have so much extra time. We can't find 30 minutes for 15 employees a week, Greg?
my eyes are twitching even more. Okay, Robbie, I know you probably can understand this, and you can probably say this. In a sales position, your time is your money. You're on the floor to make sales, to make, whatever. And so trying to cipher, 15, 30 minutes away from that person, they're like, this is my money. Why are you, quote unquote, wasting my time? And so it's just like, what now? And it's just like annoying.
Here's your goals for the month. These are the expectations. You have open enrollment coming up in 15 days, expiry. Do you have a good understanding of how your benefits work, or would you like me to spend some time showing you? It's a simple question, Greg.
Is it a simple question?
100%. Yeah. I don't.
Do you not
understand-
think-
I don't understand the difference between an HMO or a PPO or a HSA or an FSA or you know what I mean, Greg? Like, people don't understand that shit, and that's meant to be that way for a reason.
No, I don't think it is very tricky. And if that's something that we want to discuss further into it, I'm more than
For-profit
happy to
healthcare. For-profit healthcare is immoral.
because
I don't
I can definitely I can go into a whole spiel, and we can use our entire podcast of just Gregory talking about what all of those are and what the difference is in between. It's taken a lot. I have my master's degree, have my MBA with, and I know, Robbie, you've got 2 master's degrees. I've got mine in an MBA with my concentration in human resources. Jesse's got a degree as well. It's just, there's a lot that we learn in our special educations that allow us to concentrate on certain things. That's why we're here, is to allow us to do that, to explain this to you. And when we're not able to explain it to you, and we don't have the time to do it, that's not our fault.
Let me
Why
ask
are you
a
putting it on
question.
us?
It's been a while since I've been in the corporate sector. Is the tuition reimbursement still $5,250 per year? In what world is a college semester even close to that? We're encouraging people to further their educations so they can get far more in debt. So they need to keep the job so they don't go anywhere, and so they can keep paying for the benefits that are very expensive and the perks that are amazing that most people don't take advantage of. Here we can keep going in circles, Greg, but at the end of the day, you see where I'm coming from? A little bit?
Well, I have to say that you definitely can tell, and Jesse, please back me up on this. The $5,250 tuition reimbursement has long been gone. You're lucky to see $1,000 a year for tuition reimbursement, and
Oh, it's getting
yeah,
better.
it's
Even worse.
it's
Even
really
worse.
sad, and I agree with that because 52 whatever it was $5,000 is nothing when it compares to that, uh, and so that's not there anymore. I'm not happy with that.
America,
uh,
America.
but it's also it also comes down to the cost of healthcare, and I'm going to tell you, and my current position, what we're going through now, we're actually going through our bidding process for insurance for the 2026 fiscal year. And I can tell you the the premium increase is going to be a shell shock to a lot of individuals. And this is after we as a company have decided to take some of that hit as an internal cost. So again, going on to your total compensation paperwork, and that's something you don't see. But what you will see is your 10 to 15% premium increase, and you're shell shocked. And but the thing is that increase was 23%, and you don't see that full amount. And it's kind of it's that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up is because it's a lot of money. And just because you don't see it in your pocketbook
Unnecessarily.
doesn't mean that it's not a lot of
Unnecessarily.
money.
I was involved in a major car accident last year, Greg, that cost, after insurance, $1.1 million. So the hospital was hauling me while I was in the hospital, trying to collect on that when I had 3 broken extremities and could not get out of bed. They were trying to set up a $50,000 per month payment. Quite frankly, I could have done a round trip flight to Switzerland, stayed for 6 months in a hotel, eaten out every single day, 3 times a day, flown back, and paid a fraction. So, and gotten the surgery while I was there. I forgot to mention that part. So, needless to say, there's some things that really, it's just about money, 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 greed, 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 and that's a big topic about this conversation.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, companies, they do things that are tax deductible. They try to spin it as things that are in the benefit of the of the customer, of the employee. Perks only matter if people use them, Greg. That's really realistically the case. And I'm going to tell you that most people are not taking advantage of the 15% off of Avis car rentals, the Perks at Work program, especially in this economy. Get employee pricing on an HP. Like, most people are not thinking about those big types of purchases with the looming economic conditions that we're currently experiencing. The thing that I want to talk about just really quickly, and I'll give it back to you. It's the conditional pay that a lot of companies are starting to introduce. Bonuses after a certain extended period of time. You get guaranteed amounts of salary now if you work 2 years, and then that third year, if you work through the end of the third year, that jumps up to a certain amount. So say from $80,000 to $120,000. And then they find a way to get you out of the company so they don't have to pay on it. And I know we touched on it briefly, but that conditional pay it's bullshit. And I would look any CEO in the eye and say, let's put some conditional pay on you, and see how fast that shit gets thrown out the window.
CEOs do have conditional pay. they're not.
Yeah.
They have
They're
a lot
also
of it.
they're also making per second. They're also making per second what most of their employees make in like a month, Greg.
I
So
was gonna say,
if not
above and beyond what they're already really being paid, exorbitantly paid.
Yeah.
so. Anyway.
Now, Jesse, I have a question, and I'm just wondering, and I really haven't, in all of the conversations and that we've ever had about hospitality and stuff like that, and it actually just popped into my head. Does the hospitality world, in your knowledge and your expertise, do y'all even talk about these things with your staff when it comes to what they do? Because I know like your housekeepers don't make a lot of money. Your front desk clerks or your overnight people, they're not the best you know salaried or hourly and per hour worker.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, a lot of employees, especially in hospitality, don't even elect to take on these benefits because they can't even afford the subsidized cost of it. But it depends. The difference in hospitality. You have straight up hotels and restaurants that are owned by owners, and then you have management companies, and you have corporations. So it's a gamut of what you're actually working for. I've worked for all three different organizations. When I was working directly for just the owner and he only had two hotels, we didn't have benefits. No. Like, we got some 2 weeks of PTO, and that was it. So,
Interesting.
working for bigger management companies where we're managing the hotels for the owners, then there's been some discussion, or there's been more benefits offered, because the owners are paying a 3% management fee to us. That's how the management company is making their money. But then also, in the last organization I was working with, we couldn't even offer insurance to most of our hotels because of the size of the teams were so small that in order to have a policy to offer to employees, you have to have at least 2 full-time employees to take it.
Yeah.
And at times, only having a general manager, and that was the only salaried employee. Everyone else was hourly supervised. We had a housekeeping supervisor and a maintenance person. The only really salaried employee that would have taken it would be the GM, and we couldn't even get policies in place from insurance companies for that.
Interesting. I think I remember hearing you talk about that, and that's really sad because then that really affects your total compensation, your total rewards that you have going on. Now, going back to what Robbie said, do you see a lot of this this conditional pay versus guaranteed salary? And Robbie, I'm going to come back to you on this, so I'm going to give you a heads up. Is that not considered your sales? Is that not what you're talking about? But I'm going to ask Jesse about that first. Are you starting to see the guaranteed salary from conditional salary or conditional pay in that area?
I personally haven't experienced that, but I've heard about it more frequently. But the other thing is like the training. Like if you in some states, if you are terminated within a certain amount of time, like with it before 90 days, they can actually come at you and sue you for the amount of training that they paid to have you as an employee, which is very ridiculous. I think New York is one state that does that. But the most conditional pays that I see is your, um, I'm sorry, um, oh my gosh, your your bonuses. Um, but a lot of companies also try to are backtracking on quarterly bonuses and then going to yearly because in hopes that they'll have an employee that they can either get rid of or that will quit before having to pay out that bonus.
Why did you just have to solidify and confirm exactly what Robbie was just saying just a second ago?
Because
You didn't
it's
have to say that.
true.
You could have left that part out.
Or
I'm
the
gonna
funny
make
thing
an
on the
edit
employer
or a note
really
to edit
quick.
that out, so that way
There
it's
was
not-
a company that I did work for that saw a lot of turnover in their sales department, but it would always have a huge increase in turnover right after the beginning of the year because the salespeople would wait until their bonuses got paid out and then they would ditch the company.
See, there's other sides to that too, Robbie. Thank you.
Yeah.
But they were
Now,
leaving
Robbie-
because it was a
Didn't pay enough in the
shit
first
company
place.
to work for.
Wow, look at
Thank
actually
you.
Jesse.
I
getting
deal
a
with
little
this.
fiery.
You should hear how many times I have this very conversation on a weekly basis in my line of work, Greg.
That's really sad. So, going back to the question I was asking Robbie here, is that not part of like a salary-based job? Is your conditional pay? Is that not what you're talking about? Because for me, a salary, I mean, a salesperson is all about conditional pay.
Yeah, but they also companies set very, very So here's how companies have historically done it with the way that sales bonuses or commissions are aligned. Commissions are made to be very confusing. They have very, very difficult, algorithms put into place that employees have to figure. I mean, it's like watching a beautiful mind trying to watch some people try to figure out their compensation structure. That's not by chance either. But with that being said, companies have like their minimum expectations, but they historically have a good understanding that most employees aren't going to hit that minimum standard. So what they'll do is they will have like an accelerator for the top employees, and they'll have a decelerator for the employees that are doing their job, but they're not hitting that number of minimum set expectations that the company knows. Historically, those numbers have never been achieved at the entire company level. So what they do is they reduce their employees' commissions on if they don't hit that number. There's your top 5, maybe 10% of employees typically are in this range, above where my hand is. Most employees either sit right here or are underneath that threshold. So they're actually being paid less than what their total rewards says if they hit their at-risk numbers.
Well, your total
in a sales
rewards
position.
Your total reward should be the only thing that's actually has been paid. It should not be your forecasted amount.
No, so they set you an at-risk number. That at-risk number is in your total compensation. It's in your total rewards. If you hit your minimum expectations, this is what you will make. But then they don't tell you until your first week. You go through training. That this is how the commission structure works. So people are like, wait a second. So if I don't hit, I'm actually going to make less than what I like per unit that I'm supposed to be paid, and the company's going to benefit from that. To me, I mean, it's clawbacks. It's clawbacks. It's a way for the company to take back money that they supposedly throw at you. I'll tell you, I have conversations, and I know this from experience. A lot of companies will do like 1 year of good commission structure, and then the following year it'll be a bad commission structure where nobody's making money, and they'll alternate and they'll alternate, and they'll alternate. And I have this very conversation all the time with most of my clients. I would say like 75% of my clients are in some form sales, in a sales capacity. So, just to give you some perspective.
And that actually does remind me about some bonus structures that I've been under, to where we had what they called were gatekeepers. And so even if we exceeded sales by, $50,000 for the month, if our guest satisfaction scores weren't at a certain level, we wouldn't get paid out on the bonus. Or if we had overspent significantly in another place and our net income percentage was below a certain level, we wouldn't get paid out. Or we have another calculation that basically is if you gain so much in revenue over your budgeted target, but you did not flow, it's called flex and flow, if you did not flow most of that money to the bottom line and you're under a certain percentage, so you say, hey, we brought in 50,000, we can overspend a little bit more in these other areas that we've been neglecting to, you would get penalized for that because you didn't flow enough of that extra revenue down to the net income.
See, I find this quite interesting, and I will agree to some extent that yes, we in HR may be a bit removed from certain things. That doesn't mean that we're on our elevated area. I'm not going to say that again because it's not true.
Are you taking a step out on the balcony of your terrace?
Oh, no. Okay. What I am saying is, yeah, like the stories that you both were just telling me, that's kind of interesting. Like I've never heard of a decelerator before. That's kind of interesting, kind of creepy. And
it's becoming very, very, very common in 2025, Greg.
Really? That's kind of interesting. I've never heard that. I have heard of the fact of, your bonuses going from quarterly bonuses to annual bonuses because not as many people may not stay there or be there at the end of the year, so that way they don't have to pay them out. And, turnover is a lot more rampant, with less than a year than what it used to be. And people are leaving jobs quicker and quicker, not really staying at a job for longer than a year, 2 years, if that. So I have seen that change for sure. And it is kind of annoying because you used to be able to get your bonuses, 4 times every quarter or at least every year. And then it used to be, let's do it for Christmas time. And then it went away from Christmas time until let's close out all of our books. But then all of our books don't get closed out until February, March. And so it just keeps going on and on and on. Yeah. So I want to kind of wrap it up a little bit and just kind of get some advice. I know we've said this a lot of different times, is get everything in writing. Make sure you have it in writing. And look at your HRIS and find out if you can see your PDF of what it is. Going to try to pop up some examples sometime during this episode and figure out what you think about them. Because it's probably going to shock a lot of you, and I'm kind of anxious to hear what your stories are when it comes to those, and to see and to let me know what you think about it. I know this may not be the most popular podcast or the popular episode that we've had, but I think it's very important, and I have to kind of get my areas or my thoughts and things out there sometimes because these two will not let me have a word edgewise if I don't. So any last words or comments that you have, Robbie?
I do. And for senior level employees, people that are, in director, area vice president, president, executive level roles, my suggestion as a part of your compensation agreement, your offer letter, pay very close attention to training repayment agreements. Those are very toxic. Don't sign them. Where companies will turn perks of yours into debt. So make sure you are paying very close attention to your offer letters, especially in today's toxic work culture. 2025 is crazy at every single level. It feels like a Hunger Games movie for all of us.
That's kind of creepy.
In my opinion, and that's why I think that we're having all of these arguments, is because it's designed to be that way for us to argue. Greg, you know I give you shit, but you know I love you, and I think that we all know that there's no reason that we should be fighting each other. We should be bringing each other up, but the company kind of keeps us from doing that. So with that being said, do your best to have an understanding of what you're signing, what you're getting. If you don't, ask your supervisor, because HR doesn't want to answer it. They're too busy. And that's,
no, that is not correct. That is not true whatsoever. So
yeah. And don't
that from
complain.
the record, please.
Don't complain to HR, because they're gonna slip you over a notepad and say, "Can you write this down for me?" and sign it at the bottom. And then the next thing you know, you're under a performance improvement plan out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, for me, don't let the extra fluffiness of the compensation drive your decision of whether or not to work for that company. You do your research and really stick to your base salary requirements and what you need to pay your bills. The other big thing that's happening as well in regards to that is these ginormous gaps of target of salary that is listed on the job position. A lot of states require now for job listings to include a salary range. They actually do have limitations of how big of a range you can actually have, but a lot of companies don't pay attention to that.
That's a huge red flag, by the way.
Yeah.
Wide ranges are huge red flags.
Exactly. And
maybe that should be an episode. Red flags.
Right.
Anyways,
exactly.
go. Sorry, Jason.
And ask for the top. You know, when they ask you what your compensation requirement is, throw the highest number out there that they have listed. Why not? All they can do is say no. If you want to make it even a better poignant backing to your statement that you want the top number that their range is within, then have some facts behind to support yourself of experience that you have, certifications that you have, any training, special trainings that you've been through, your degree, on-the-job experience, and real-life examples to back that up. Or like Greg, ask them for completely above their range, because that's what Greg likes to do. Is throwing out a number that they
I have done that.
Which is great too. You know, if they really want you, they should be able to make that budge.
Yep.
You know, I think it's great that in companies they really do think that they're trying and caring about you when they're giving you these extra perks that a lot of people don't use. But don't be jaded by it. Really have a conversation with your hiring manager or whoever you're interviewing with about the current state of the company, where they're at, why this position is open, and to make sure that it's going to be an environment that you want to be in or that you're going to be able to withstand.
The bottom line here, folks, is that your worth isn't what HR's PowerPoint deck says it is. It's what you can bank. It's what you can use, and it's what you can take home to protect for your future. And that is something I will take to the bank every single day.
Yes, but some things are not bankable. Okay, maybe use and protect. Okay. I might agree to all that then. Took me a little time because that kind of sounded a little confusing, like you're trying to
So, Greg,
say something
in the next
positive
station,
in a negative way.
and the next PowerPoint deck say it's what you can take home and protect. That ain't gonna happen. Greg. We all
Oh
know.
boy. Well, I would love to know if you have any stories. You know, we do have our stories at your2val.com, and that's you are the number 2 and val.com to send us to us, and just let me know what you have to say, because this is important to me, and I want to make things better in my world, and I also want to prove both Jesse and Robbie wrong, because they are
Send
wrong
him your
most of the
horror
time.
stories, folks.
No, send me the good stories. We
put Greg in charge of that. We put Greg in charge of that inbox.
Hit the feedback bin, and we all know where the feedback bin goes. So
To the recycle bin if it doesn't fit your narrative.
I never said that. Oh boy, I love that. Anyway, so what's going on next week, Jesse? What are we talking about next week?
We got another great topic next week. Great title, I think, that we came up with: sourly versus hourly. Which one screws you less?
Why again? Why do we? No, it is exempt versus it is non-exempt. Which one is better for you?
Words that are meant to confuse employees.
No. Okay, so we're
Ways that we can pay you less.
Oh yeah.
Or we can micromanage every second of your day.
Okay, that's a whole micromanagement is completely different.
How do we adhere to the state minimum salary requirement?
There are legal repercussions for those as well. Yes, we're going to get into that. But anyways, I wanted to thank you.
Keeping you from getting overtime.
Okay. There's a lot of interesting stuff that will happen in that one. But I wanted to tell you, too, thank you very much for bearing with me in this kind of fantastic yet boring topic. I can see it in both of your faces. And I know our viewers out there are going to be like, Gregory, why did you do this? But I wanted to share that with you. And I really appreciate everything. And reach out to us, stories@your2val.com. We also at your2val.com is our website. You are the number 2, val, VAL.com. And Robbie, what are some of the social medias and stuff that we have?
We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we are on YouTube, we are on, and you can listen to our podcast on iHeartRadio, you can listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, you can listen to us on, you can watch us on YouTube. Like I said, we're all over the place, and that's meant by design. Because we want to make sure that we appease you and we get to the platforms that you love. So we love having you guys listen in. We've been growing. We've seen a lot of great feedback coming from our listeners. We've been seeing some really great things, and the first season has been a learning season for us. And
for sure,
it's been humbling, but it's also been something that I think has brought the three of us closer together. Obviously, the shit talking's gotten more frequent, and it's definitely something that we really enjoy. And we thank you guys. We thank our listeners, and we thank the growth that we've been seeing.
All right, everyone. Well, y'all have a great week, great rest of your day, and thanks for listening. We will see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great week, everybody.